Okay, call meeting to order. This is Medina County Emergency Services District number 4. Today is August 13th, and it's just 7. Actually, we're a little late. You said we'd be in. That's okay. So stand and do the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Would one care to open us up in prayer?
Sure. Dear Lord, thank you for the blessings that you've given us in our lives. Thank you for all the things that you've done for us. Lord God, please let this board do the proper work of our community and help support everything that's going on. Watch over our decisions, and Lord, help us go in the right direction that you want us to. Lord God, we love you. Amen.
All right, thank you, everyone. Please take your seats. Oh, yeah, you get the point for you.
I heard something, but I was on it.
All right. All right, we do have a quorum.
So, President Christie, we have Tony, Jerry, Steve, and myself.
Everybody on best behavior. Christy is virtually in from up in Kerrville. Kerrville? She's up in Kerrville right now. Okay, we citizen comments. We didn't have anybody on the citizens agenda, so we will go right to agenda item number 4, which is comments from Mrs. Miller. Ma'am?
I will be speaking for her. For those of y'all that don't know who I am, my name is Javier Zuniga. I am the best friend and brother of the late Chief Jason Miller. As you all know, I did email you guys a letter. I think some of the things that we as a family, I've contemplated what I'm going to say, how we're going to present today. And I think the biggest thing for us as part of closure with his wife, mother, in-laws here, is there was a lot of issues and disrespect that Jason felt.
Okay, so I want to make sure we're capturing everything. So can we just lay out a couple of little ground rules or whatever, how we're going to do this?
Sure.
So we really want to hear. Well, we want to hear her perspective, but in and through you, I understand that. Yeah. So thank you. And I think that's really incredibly important, and especially for the rest of the community to understand what's going on. From your perspective, sure. What's happened, and then we'll chat. We'll share ours from the board's perspective, and then if there was any asks you have of the board, then please hold that until the end, and we'll go and we'll cycle through that. So
sure.
I want to make sure we're able to have a good communication.
Well, no, clearly, I myself serve on several boards, so I understand how the professionalism needs to work. I think for us, the biggest thing that we would want is just an apology. That's really the only thing that we're here for. We have no ask. We have nothing.
So please share what's making you ask for that. I mean, where you...
Well, as far as some of the disrespect, as everybody knows, he did take his own life. And there were many times that I did get phone calls from him after board meetings. And he and I spoke often. And it was a matter of, I'm trying my best, and it just doesn't feel good enough. He had the potential when he was hired to run this ESD to do something great. Him and I worked side by side for many years. That's what we did. We built EMS agencies to what they are. And I think for him, that was his biggest pushback. Obviously, he faced demons that we were not aware of. However, there was a lot, I think, that was contributed from stress with here. And that's any job. But I think for him, being the person that he was, to be able to go to his full potential, he felt that he was held back. And any time that he would try, he was met with resistance. That's what he felt. When the ESD was going to move forward with their own, he had gone through the entire process. I, as well as a few others, had come through when we sat on the interview panel. We picked through all the potential new hires. We sat here and, great, these are your good candidates. He sent offer letters out to everybody. And then a week later, the board decided, nope, we're not going to go through with this. So for him as an EMS leader with his stature in this region, to have to now turn around and email all of these people and say, hey, I'm so sorry, but this isn't going to go through. That's tough. I've been in that position. I've had to do that as well. And I think a lot of that just added to a lot of the stress that he felt. And, I wish things were different. There's nothing that I can say up here. There's nothing that anybody in his family can say up here that's going to change what happened and bring him back. But, there were several instances, being, humiliated here in public as well. He was very upset about that. He called me almost in tears because he said, what am I going to do? It doesn't sound like my job is going to be much longer. What am I going to do to take care of my family? How am I going to do this? You've been by my side all these years. How am I going to get by this? So to see somebody who was strong, resilient, had a no BS attitude and handled everything thrown at him to now be resulted to damn near in tears because of something somebody told him or said, that was big, because that wasn't him. That was not him. Our entire friendship, and that blew my mind when he called me that night, because I was like, wait a minute, what is going on? And again, we didn't really discuss he didn't tell me a whole lot of the ins and outs of what went on here, just when something was truly bothering him, And I said, okay, well, what are you going to do, Jason? Just show them what you can do. He goes, I can't. They don't want to see it. I said, okay. So we kept up, and, finally got to a point, and I asked him the week before he passed, I said, how's work? It's going good. To myself, I'm like, great, it's going good. So then that day that he took his own life, I was 20 feet away from him.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest things that he said is, I failed. I tried. My career's nothing. And it's sad that he felt that way. And just in text messages between other colleagues in EMS, a lot of it had to do with just stress of life, stress of here. He was worried every day whether he was going to come in and have a job. I would call him in the mornings just as we did every morning. How's it going? Going to work. Cool. How's your day? What you got planned out for the day? I don't know. Just go in and see what's going on. See if I can get through the day and still have a job. So, and I know there were some people, who were not a fan of his. He was one of my best friends. Him and I didn't always get along. And I get that. I completely acknowledge that. However, I think for us, as much as we all sat and heard and listened to him over dinner, over drinks, just about work and everything that he felt, and that was added to him. And, being humiliated that day that he was in the meeting, whether that's the intent or that's how it was perceived by him. Words hurt, clearly. And we know that now because he's no longer here. That in conjunction with everything else that he was dealing with, demons that we were unaware of, that's something that us as a family have to live with. But for us as a family, that is our biggest thing, is to come in and address. And we're not wanting anything, just a simple apology for things that went wrong here.
Sure, yeah.
So.
Yeah, sorry.
No, that's okay.
I'm not trying to...
No, you're fine.
I just want to make sure you got what...
Yeah.
Okay. So I prepped a couple of words, and just for perspective, and I know I think in most of these instances I speak for most of us, but I'll share those, and then I'd like to open it up to the rest of you gentlemen with your thoughts. So, and I got to tell you, I really appreciate you guys coming here. I think it does give a lot of closure for everything that's gone on. I think it's been brutal, devastating. I can't even imagine. So thank you. So we really, when we went to the service, Patrick and I were there, and went along with a couple of others. Peggy was there sitting next to me, and there was a number of us there. We just saw the guy was truly valued, and the amount of people, the love that came out was.
Yes, he was. You had no idea.
Yeah, and we had no idea. We had no idea. Yeah, from that, that level of love that came out for him. I don't know. You were there too, so it was palatable. It was moving. The words you spoke on behalf of the family. Yeah, it was really something. So I appreciate it. It was helping understand what's going on. So for perspective here is. This board, as you see it, we got here in January. We were appointed in January, and our predecessors are, they're the ones that we're so fortunate that Jason came here and provided him this with his wisdom, his experiences. What he brought to the table, we actually had any time with him here. I believe that the previous board made the decision to hire that whole program, and then they decided to not. And when we arrived, what we got was we got this stellar guy, this really amazing guy, and we could see it in him, but we no longer had any mission for him. In the same way as he was hired, the mission was they made that determination. It's over. We're not going to do that, and so we were really left in a bit of a quandary, if you will, but not really, because what we could all see in him was what he brought to the table, and I've got years and years and years of leadership. I understand. I can see when somebody's coming in. Oh, we all do. When you got a great candidate for that. So how do we keep this guy? How do we keep this guy here when we no longer have the ability to do the thing that he was originally hired for, that he was brought in for? And so that's when we shifted over on his duties and responsibilities, and to have him run the contracts for us. And for understanding the work that we were positioning him for was far beyond, because he had such potential. He was far beyond the operational side of running an EMS mission. What we were positioning him for and preparing for and doing these things. And it's administrative work. It kind of seems like, this may be the not as cool and not as fun or not as important, but it's far more important, because what we were positioning for is actually to go into the strategic level, for his next role. In a state role or something like that, and he and I had long talks about this, and so your words, they don't make sense to me about that, the way it came out. So there was something going on, and some lost in translation or something. But when he helped us, he actually helped us revise his job description, so that he could be, we could then show our community here how valuable he was. And I think it's worth mentioning that we serve at the pleasure of our district, of our taxpayers here, and importantly this is the lowest income portion of Medina County. Our household income is just over $45,000 or $40,000 a year. For the household, for a family, it's just over $40,000 a year. We're not a wealthy community, and so for them to see, well, why do you got this extra guy on staff when you didn't have him before? We were doing everything we could to show that. So we sent him the contracting course so he could do that, and again, take that strategic level, that strategic view of here's how operations run larger scale, was the community health program we were putting him in. We needed to get him front and center to the community, so they all got to see how good he was, because we all knew it, we could see it, but I don't think the community quite understood it. And we had a lot of calls and a lot of people talking to us going like, well, why do you got this guy on staff? We're like, well, we just take it easy, because he's really good. and we want to hang on to him. We want to do everything we can to keep this guy. So I think that I know we did our best to try and restructure that and to do those things so that the community itself could really see who he was. So we worked really hard on that. And he worked with us. And so, again, some of the words, they're not, it's somewhere there's a loss of translation. I don't know where it came from. There's somewhere there's a loss in that translation on how, because he was a really amazing guy. I firmly believe that. I know him and I were, he and I we were together on Friday before. We were up in Surplus. And it's a simple little thing. We were up there to get these chairs that we're sitting in, because the old chairs we had were falling apart, and I was saying, go get good quality chairs. Get good quality, something that's going to last a long time, and it's going to be there, because we need to we need to invest in that and go long term. And he said, wait a minute, let's go to surplus. We can find some government surplus that we get for pennies on the dollar. So instead of spending $500 for each chair, it came out to like $20 or something. And I say that just to share that I know he understood. It seemed that he understood that place that we were in, that we're not wealthy folks, but we need to do those things, and those are the small little things that go along that show his value to the community and to the district, and the people who are paying well, they don't pay us, but they're paying our service so we can provide those good services. So. And I said before, I was in the Army for 31 years, and I lost guys. And if we lost somebody to like a combat operation, it's devastating. If we lose somebody to them taking their own lives, it's even worse. But what we always found was when we could see that the families were well cared for, that we would just take a step back and let them heal and let them do their thing. And when they're ready, they're going to come to us. And so that's why I really appreciate you guys coming in to start having that conversation and just to share. Because, if we would have gotten into it earlier, it would have been a mess. So we lost something. Our community lost a great guy, a really amazing guy. I cannot imagine that you can fathom the loss that you all had. I don't think any of us can. We're so profoundly sorry for your loss. I know I speak for everybody here. That when I got the call, I was dumbstruck. I went over to Jerry's house the next day, and I told him there, and he just went. And he and I share a law enforcement background. We're used to hearing bad news, but then it's not something you can ever anticipate. So we're very sorry for the loss. It's absolutely devastating to everybody, and I really appreciate, from me personally, and I think I speak for everybody, that we really appreciate you coming in and just having this conversation and starting to have this discussion. So with that, I'll just shut up and I'll open it to you gentlemen if you would like to share some comments or anything.
Can I say something real quick?
Ma'am?
Can I say something real quick?
Sure, yeah.
Hearing you speak so highly of him, why'd you call him a dummy?
I see. He and I talked about that, and I don't remember that.
It's in the YouTube videos, the comments.
Yeah, I don't remember that. But then he and I talked about that afterwards. And the only thing I can think is it comes to a it's a camaraderie we have in our in law enforcement and in emergency services work.
You can just say, okay, sorry.
No. Because he actually hit me up outside on the way out.
I know.
And he said, hey, what do you think about this? And I looked at him and I said, I don't think about you that way, so I don't know why that would have come out. And the only thing I could personally think is that it's part of that we rib each other in law enforcement and emergency services. And it's a place of, it comes from a place of love. It's like, you can fight my brother, or I can fight my brother, but you can't fight him, kind of thing. And I told him, I said, I'm profoundly sorry for if I absolutely said something like that, and it meant, and especially if it hurt you. But
Oh, it hurt him really bad.
yeah, but that's what I expressed to him when we were out there. Same thing.
I was just curious why you said it. That's it.
And to be in a public place and do that, shame on you.
Yeah, okay. Again, if it was said, if it came out that way,
I'm sure you can go back through your notes and find
no, I don't doubt it. And when he said that to me, I just said, I don't understand that, but I don't distrust you. I think you're absolutely being truthful. And then I have to reconcile with myself. And why would I say something like that? Why would that come out that way? Yeah, and that's the only thing I can think of. Because that guy. No, he was. I absolutely believe he was an amazing guy. Yeah. So, John, anything?
Well, I thought he was fantastic, and that's why I hired him to begin with. And for me to apologize, I gave him everything he wanted. Anytime he wanted something, we got it for him. And it may not have been that week, but next meeting so I didn't feel like we weren't taking him serious. We were giving him all the tools that he needed to do his job.
As it was stated, things were probably lost in translation, and rightfully so. Things probably were. I can only attest to the phone calls that I received from him.
Yeah.
The struggles that he faced at home, the worry of whether he was going to have a job. That came from somewhere.
So I can understand where that came from. That came from the fact that he was hired to be the EMS chief of this ESD, and then this board decided to go to another route. And so if you're hired to be the chief and all of a sudden there's the chief of nothing,
exactly.
I can understand the frustration. And we had many conversations, and I would tell him, Jason, I'm not going to fire you because that means somebody else here has to do your job. We're going to try to rearrange this, but you got hired to be the chief of an EMS organization, and now you're handling contract management. So in the beginning, when we got here in January, I could see the frustration on him.
Yeah.
Not to the level that it went, right? We're all good personally at hiding our own feelings and what's going on in our lives. And he was good at that because I was caught way off guard like everybody else was that this had taken place. So we were moving towards the contact management, and there were days that he was like, he came back from the management school and he was gung-ho. He was on fire about doing this. So I understand the whole transition to where it came to, I'm here to be the chief, and now I'm just an administrator. Let's just say that I've been on the other side too, right? I've led, and so you go from being the chief of an organization that you think you're going to be running people to being the guy that's going to be running a contract that's in between us and the provider. That's a big hurt, and I understand the feelings that he had about that, being in all those boats. So I am very truly sorry for your loss. And look, the reason that I didn't come and present myself at the funeral to any of y'all is because I've never met you. It was not in my place to come into your world when you've got this grief going on, to introduce myself, and you don't know me from Adam, and I don't know you, and it was amazing to see everybody there, the love that they had for Jason. It was amazing to see that, because we got to see a guy 2 or 3 times a week, and then at a meeting, and that's all we got to see of Jason and the conversations that we were able to have with him. So it was amazing to see that. I've been to a lot of firefighter funerals, and that was probably one of the biggest funerals that I've been to, and so I apologize that I didn't come see you, but like I said, it was not my place to do that.
May I make a comment?
Yes, ma'am.
Y'all say that, and I feel that y'all are, you've done what we've asked. But I think what's hurtful for Allison and her girls is not one of you guys have reached out to check on her. Jason was your employee. I need to take care of our family.
And that's why I said what I said about.
I don't think it should have taken us coming to a meeting to get to speak.
I don't know. I've experienced it differently throughout my life. I've experienced it exactly the opposite. Is like you don't come to me.
Well, and I think for us it's hurtful because Allison has agencies all over reaching out, offering condolences,
sure,
asking her to come to meetings where Jason can be honored.
Yeah.
This is where he worked. Have y'all honored him? Not that we've seen. But you speak so highly of him.
Yeah, I will tell you, we lost a great asset here in our community.
I 100% agree.
And
that's just where, speaking for Allison, and her and I had those conversations.
And I know it had to be tough for him to change, but that's what we were working so hard to figure out how to recraft what we could leverage that experience, that ability into keeping with us as best we could. So I don't know where, honestly, you guys kept talking about him not having a job, and I don't know anybody here would ever say that. Dude, no, we all understood what we had.
I think we all feel that way sometimes in our lives.
No, we did our best to show that value to him. At every turn we did our best to show that value. Is thank you for doing it, and I felt a close relationship with him in working relationship. So, sorry, sir.
And just thank you guys for listening. We appreciate it.
Yeah, that's what we're supposed to do. We as a families or communities. So
you made a comment earlier about the field y'all work in. I work in the construction background, so I know what you're coming from.
Okay.
You're saying, but the point Javi made, that comment, that was just, a lot of times you don't realize, I can be fragile with words as well, and not show it, but go outside and be mad as a copperhead snake.
Oh, he was.
Feelings hurt.
No, he was out there?
Right.
Well, he did. He did.
I think in cases like that, when you say something publicly, I don't know what the rounds were. I just knew it was in a meeting type of deal where there was other folks there. It wasn't a you and him conversation. And this is just for future. If any of us say something like that in front of a whole bunch of people, then we need to have the courtesy and the fortitude to be able to come and say, hey, the other day I said something about so-and-so the other day.
Oh, no, sir, I actually did that the next meeting. I did, yes, sir. Yeah, no, I did. At the next meeting, I talked about that because I was out of line. If I said that, and again, written, joking, whatever, didn't matter. He felt bad. He walked. It was right out there next to that ambulance out there, and he cornered me and he said, "Hey, you said this," and I was like, "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." And then at our next meeting is when I actually brought it up. I appreciate it. Yeah.
So Allison, I apologize that I didn't cold call you. I just did not feel that was appropriate for me to do. I'm sorry for the loss for your family, and I apologize that we didn't come up. To me, in my mind, it just, you would be like, I don't even know you, why are you calling me?
I didn't know half the people that were there, and they still came up to me.
Yeah.
So, but thank you. And Tony, I just want to say that Jason lived up to you a lot, so you have nothing to apologize for.
It hurt. It just, the whole matter, and I can't imagine y'all's situation. I've been to 2 funerals in the last 2 years, and that's too many. And
as Eric said and Sherry said, we just want to thank y'all for the time. Clearly there was 2 different stories being told from the board side as well as from the family side. And so Jason's no longer here, doesn't have that voice to speak up anymore, so we can only attest to what we were told and what we dealt with and saw on the daily with him. So that's why it was important for us to come and speak, so that way the community could see his side of what we dealt with.
I think another thing that I really admire from my sister Allison is her courage to speak on behalf of
how he took his life and the circumstances surrounding that. I think that this is just a call to action that we need to be better as employers, as employees, as family, as members of the community. We just need to do better. Y'all didn't know his side of the story. We only knew his side. We don't know y'all's, but we need to take care of each other. I know you guys, it's a difficult situation reaching out to Allison. You don't know her. You don't know me. You don't know her. But we have to do better. We have to reach out, even if it's uncomfortable, even if we don't want to. We have to do that. So in the future, just be mindful that we're all here for each other, but we're all struggling in our own ways. Even for Jason, we needed to do better for Jason, and we didn't, unfortunately.
I think. I mean, yeah. Your words when you spoke, it was one of the first things you said there. I mean, it really hit me, and it was a great. There were great healing words. I think as a start to heal was, this isn't my fault. This isn't your fault. This thing's happened, and if we had any part in it, I'm absolutely. Me personally, I'm very sorry. I worked with the guy. I enjoyed his time here. I know he was going through a lot, trying to figure his new place out. But we were consistent, and we kept him as best we could. We were doing the things to keep him. When we talked about some silly thing, when we were talking about benefits, there was no way. Don't do anything with that one. We were in here in the middle of the meeting, and I was like, okay, I'll trust you on this one, dude. I'll listen to you. But it's not a. We're still reeling to your ear too. So nothing like you guys at all. Nothing at all. We're still reeling them too. It's tough. So thank you so much for coming out. Did you have another comment, sir? No. Okay. Thank you so much for coming out. This is that it needs to happen to have a discussion and share, because it hasn't been easy for you.
Well, and I think in moving forward, the only last ask that I will have is whether you stay with your current contracted provider or you move on to something else, some kind of mental health resiliency, because I have spoken to several of the Allegiance employees that have reached out to me that have known him for years.
Yeah.
And other than me sending them messages and fellow firefighters within the area, nobody has checked on him.
Okay.
And I have spoken to George, I have spoken to Amanda, I'm good friends with all of the senior leadership of Allegiance. That is something that we all need to do better. Yeah. And as a leader myself, and who is an advocate for mental health, Jason and I were both licensed clinicians when it came to mental health.
Right.
So we advocated for this exact thing. And it's unfortunate that all the advocacy that we put out was what he ultimately succumbed to. And I think that's the biggest thing. And there are still employees who are still here and on your roster that are still struggling, because I get text messages daily. Javi, what would you do? Jason would do this. You were the closest to him. How would you handle this? This is the kind of call that I just ran. This is what I did. I would go to Jason for this. This is what I gave. This is the med I pushed. What do you think? Great. Nobody's checked on those people. And I think that's the most disheartening thing.
Okay.
Again, appreciate your time.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let's take 5, please, and we'll reconvene. Thanks, sir. I appreciate it. Good thoughts, too.
I appreciate your time. Thank you, guys. We appreciate it.
Okay, we're going to reconvene, folks. And we're agenda item number 5. Pat, please, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Operator report.
I have 2 of them for you. I put them on your table. I apologize for the typo on June. I'll blame it on AI because that's a good one to blame it on, but it was me. But the June report showed that we had 194 total calls in the district, of which we made 183. The breakdown shows that 59 were in the city of Devine, 21 in Natalia, and 110 in the unincorporated portions of the county. I also gave you a copy of the map where I posted the call volume in each of the grid systems, so you can see the Devine area, Natalia, and the entire district that we cover. I also would like to tell you, based on a conversation that we had a couple of months ago, Steve, you asked us to, Jason and I, to get the numbers from the county and find out what's what. So I did that, and I went back in June, and I'm just going to read you some examples. I know you guys have been here long, you've got much to do, but just bear with me so you can understand. I'm just trying to answer your questions. The county dispatch has been extremely helpful getting these reports run. What I realized when I looked at the reports is I can imagine a person in a dispatch position sitting at a console, and every action requires a reaction. Am I correct? So if the phone rings, if something happens, they go and they type that into their computer, right? And that's an incident of some sort. And a number is assigned to that. They also assigned the area, and how quickly this happens, I presume it's all in seconds. For example, they'll say this is Natalia EMS 8240, and so they'll tag that incident from Natalia 8240. So I went to every single incident for the month of June. The county's put 107 incidences for the Natalia truck. My report to you for the same period stated the Natalia truck made 93 calls. What was the difference? That's a great question. The answer was, when dispatch enters data, it is not always correct. And I'm not saying anything bad about dispatch, it's just human error. I found there's incidences in here where there's actually police calls, and they're dispatching police to calls, but for whatever reason, it hit 8240, which is our truck. But I found there was police calls in our district, and even some in Thatcherville, and even some in Hondo. Some of them were also duplicated. Why that happens, I don't know, but they tagged both 8240, which is the Natalia truck, and they tagged 8140, which is the Devine truck, on the same report. So that when you take out the duplications and the police calls and the fire calls, which were not emergency-related calls, that number came out to the same number that I had given you. There was no difference. So, and I was happy to see that, because what they did capture in that report, because they also run every time Community EMS or ESD4 or Allegiance out of Moore or Pearsall comes into our district, they've actually tagged those trucks as well so they can track those calls, because they have to dispatch them, and they're tracking that information correctly. So the same thing came out with every single report, and I ran every one of them for every incident, every time of day, every truck, and every patient contact number. And my numbers match their numbers exactly when you pull out the duplications and the information that doesn't have anything to do with 8240 or 8140. I've saved the reports in my notes. If you'd like to have a copy of those, I'll give them to you. Actually, they're originals, but I just wanted to share that with you.
Have you talked to dispatch about this?
To some degree, I have. I tried to meet with him this week, but Frank is the supervisor in the department, and he's in training through up today. I'm hoping to get with him at his convenience, obviously. I mean, he has a different schedule than I do, but in the future, so we can sit down and figure out how this happens, because I honestly don't know the answer to that.
First thing I looked at from the perspective that they've got there's some training maybe that needs to happen there.
Right.
Or maybe something hiccups. Go ahead, sir.
I can offer a little insight. I don't know if this is still accurate, but about a year ago this was accurate. They have a certain amount of time before they can't leave that field blank, the unit. So sometimes, a year ago, or maybe 2 years ago now, when they were using the system, they wanted to use a certain asset number of mine as a placeholder until the truck responded. And then they would play. And once they assign it, they can't take it off. Once it's assigned, it doesn't ever come off.
Okay.
So that's partly some of it. And then, of course, occasionally there's factory error. They'll click the wrong one because 140, 8240, 8340, they're very similar on other things. But I know that
When you kind of agency services.
right. The placeholder was one of the things that was an issue.
I mean, maybe it's a systems issue for them. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, just so that you know what's going on. Yeah.
And now, and I think what will happen is I'll learn, that we're all human and things happen. I was just happy to get the report and be able to go through it and make those different, because I wanted to find that the numbers as much as you did. Yeah. Because I know that we had, in fact, when we moved from this report, I'll move into July. In July, I did the same thing. Ran the numbers from the county against our numbers, took out the duplicate calls, took out the police calls, fire calls, and our numbers came out exactly the same. We had a total of 200 calls. We made 186 of those calls.
The rest of them were canceled? Is that what
Sir?
The rest of the 14 were canceled?
No, not at all. Lytle made 7 of those calls. Moore made 7 calls. I looked at the report now again, this is a report I'm getting from dispatch because they give me a report that shows if community came over here or if ESD1 came over here, and there wasn't anything for those areas. They showed 0. So I had nothing to compare that to. But they did track the 7 from Lytle and the 7 from Moore that came up to help. So those 14 calls were covered. They just weren't covered by us.
Okay, question for you on those. Are you able to get down in the aggregate to see what your guys were doing? What kind of call your guys were on? What was holding them? So
if you look at the timelines, this happened today, as a matter of fact, and last night. Both units went out within a 10-minute period of time.
Okay.
Within 10 minutes after they both went out, we popped another call.
Okay.
You're going to have to call someone else. We don't even have time to get a truck.
Yeah, they're still responding, right?
So our allegiance group now we prefer, and it's not because it's allegiance, but Moore is the closest truck to the line. So we call and tell dispatch, send Moore. Because it's better to come from an 8-mile radius than have to come from San Antonio or to come from Castroville or wherever else they're going to come from, or even Hondo. And they're always happy to help, but we're trying to get the closest truck. If that truck can't make it, then we'll call the next closest group. Now that ESD1 has a truck in Lacoste, I would really have to map out to see who's closer, Lacoste or Hondo. I'm not sure. But I was happy to see that on the total number of calls, we're at 94%, 4% gap filled by our Moore truck, and so that leaves us with a 4% gap where we're actually having to depend on somebody else. And we usually try to get somebody that's closer, and most of those calls are, again, because when you stop and think about, and I could preach on this all day long, you can't manage injuries and illness. You can't put that on a clock. It's like trying to make an appointment. It doesn't happen. Typically when you see this, it's only because our trucks have just left and or haven't had time to get back. If truck number 1 goes out, let's say the Natalia truck is toned out like this morning. They went out at 7:40 this morning. Shift changes at 8, right? So they're gone. The other truck's sitting here. And then at 8 o'clock, just at shift change, the other truck goes out too. Well, the truck that left at 7:40 has only been gone 20 minutes. But if they're going to transport, that truck's going to be gone for at least an hour to an hour and a half. And if the hospital's stacked up, and Patrick knows what I'm saying when I say this, that they put you up against the wall and you're having to wait on a nurse or whatever, then you're stuck at the hospital for an even longer period of time. And then the second truck goes out. So by the truck, what we try to do is listen to where that truck's at. Are they going to transport? Are they not going to transport? Are they going to leave the district or not leave the district? If they're leaving the district and then we know the other truck's still in San Antonio and they're going to transport to San Antonio, we know we're going to have roughly an hour before that other truck gets back here. So then we have to make a decision. Do we call for another truck and we do that? Another truck comes out of town, but typically our truck gets back before that. So it's really a matter of stacked calls when this occurs. And you can't control that. You have no control. The only way that you can, and I looked at this. In fact, if you looked at the July report on page 4, for example, I know we've talked in the past about a peak truck. So if you go to page 4 and you look at the hours, now these are 3-hour increments. Between the hours of 1 and 3 in the morning, we had 19 calls. By 6 in the morning, 14. By 9 o'clock in the morning, we had 32. Now this is in a month period of time, but I'm just trying to look at the numbers and the time of day that they come in. So a peak truck, even if you put a peak truck, say for 12 hours, where in that 12 hours will you put it? Could you cover those missing calls? And I will promise you, with the knowledge that I have in the years that I've done this, you're still not going to make every call. It's impossible, no matter, and it's going to help. But unfortunately, those things occur. And I guess, and too, I don't want to get philosophical, but looking towards the future, and if you look at what the bigger EMS systems are doing in San Antonio, in Houston, and some of the bigger cities, to combat this problem, there's never enough ambulances, but there's a lot of sick people. But not everybody needs an ambulance. You need a community EMS type support system where people can go to people's homes. All they need is an aspirin or some medication that's needed, but it's not needed from an ER. But they still need the help. And those type of systems are working quite well to reduce the load that is put on that MICU truck that's sitting out there. Now don't get me wrong, we love treating everybody we can. But sometimes you're taking someone to the hospital because they broke their little finger, and yes, it needs attended to. But I could have taken them in another type of vehicle, not tied to an MCU unit. And community EMS is doing that. And when I say community, I'm not talking about their system. I'm talking about the global system called community EMSing. And to me, a peak truck would be great, but it's not going to solve the problem. What's going to solve the problem is having another method to deal with those calls that are not life-threatening emergencies and not tying up the 2 MIC trucks that you have.
Isn't thoughts on that? This has always been a problem.
I mean, don't get me wrong, we love doing this, it's our job, but we as medics, our nightmare is being on the road and hearing that other tone come out for something, and you want to, and sometimes we place ourselves at risk because we want to stop what we're doing and go take care of that, but we can't by law.
Right.
But they both need attending to. They just don't need attending to in the same way. A peak truck will solve some of that problem, but as you can see, just for the 1 month's time period, if you go from 9 in the morning till 9 at night, you're going to miss some of the earlier ones. If you go from noon to midnight, which you may pick up some extras, but then what if they come in that morning? You're still going to miss 50% of those calls. So you're still going to have to call for mutual aid to get those resources. And I just want to bring that to your attention. It's an educational issue more than anything else. We did, again, City of Devine, we had 70 calls. In Natalia, we had 12, which is the lowest month I've seen in a long time for the city of Natalia. The unincorporated areas was 118. ESD4 of the 204 calls made 186 of those. Again, I showed where more, I call it more, as because there are more unit, made 7, and Lytle helped us with the other 7. And then
8340, is that y'all's unit in Jacksonville?
no, 8240 is our Natalia truck.
8340.
8340 is, according to dispatch, 8340 is my truck. One of my trucks. So if Allegiance comes down here to do backfill and we get toned out, that's 8340.
Okay.
Any number ending with 40 is ESD4. Any number ending with 30 is ESD3. And ESD1, I'm still trying to figure it out. I think they're all 8110, 8110 at the end. So, and that's how dispatch puts it in their system. So 8340.
Just because you're like, you would be 40, 41, 42. 45,
So
45.
right. So if, for example, let's say we had a tornado, and we could send 5 or 6 trucks out of San Antonio from our base station. All of those trucks would pick up 8340, 8440, 8540, and so on. That's the way dispatch wants it to run. 8140 and 8240 are the permanently stationed trucks. Anything after that is coming down to do backfill.
Your third digit in your call sign is going to be the ESD that unit belongs to.
Oh, forehead. Got it.
Numbers are funny, really.
And then on page 2, I gave you some of the clinical information. On page 3, page 2, I gave you the hospital destination information, total number of transports versus number of refusals, DNRs, things of that nature. And I kind of broke it down by the different types of refusals. Because we made calls where, for example, we made a call yesterday. One person wanted an ambulance, but 5 people were at the scene. So you count it as 1 patient, you count it as 5 patients. Can you really call it a refusal? Because in our line of work, if I call an ambulance for you, but you didn't want it, are you responsible for that? And the answer is no. Third party call, you can't even call that a refusal. Because they didn't call or ask for help.
Yeah, the peak hour issue, San Antonio tried to solve that by doing, last year at 3 o'clock in the afternoon we had X calls, but last year at 3 o'clock in the afternoon it didn't rain.
Yeah.
So you can try to do a million things to get the timeline.
Yeah, and you know, like I said, I think you might get half at best. Unfortunately, there's just no rhyme or reason to. I mean, I think we could all agree there's probably 2 hours of the day where there's not a whole lot of activity, and that's usually between 2 and 4 in the morning. The rest of it, people wake up sick, people wake up in the middle of the night sick. I mean,
They can't go to sleep.
Sorry?
They can't
go to sleep.
You hear sirens and like, that's a good time.
No, it's 10 o'clock at night.
But I would like to make one statement, and I don't need to bore anybody by this, but I brag about it every time I can. I've been doing this a long time. And the greatest thing I've seen happen in the almost 50 years I've been doing this is when Mothers Against Drunk Drivers changed the laws, and our call volume went down. And people's lives were saved. Because when I first started this, that's about all we got every day. Am I right? Back in the day. So, just bragging for Mothers Against Drunk Drivers.
Did you get paid for that spot?
No, I did not. They don't even know my name.
I'll tell Suzanne.
Sir?
I'll tell Suzanne.
Yeah.
Hildebrand.
I'm sorry?
I'll tell Suzanne Hildebrand.
Yeah.
She started.
Yeah. Did she answer your calls?
Yes.
Everybody answers his calls. What are you talking about? It's okay.
But again, I have those recorded. If anybody wants to see those, I'll be happy to share. Again, I don't bring this up as a matter of saying things derogatory about our great dispatch service. They do a great job. And oh, by the way, my management staff, my VP, myself, my district manager are all trying to schedule a meeting with dispatch in both Medina County and Frio County. Again, we've offered them a switch in the room so that our emergency emergency medical dispatchers can be put on the phone every time a call comes in. One of the things that we find to help to improve medical services. We carry whole blood here. They carry whole blood. I think they're going to carry whole. You guys have whole blood now?
Yes, we just got approved for it last week, so
Awesome.
probably in the next 30 days we'll have it.
So one of the greatest things that we brought to the community, and everybody's doing this now, is whole blood. And part of the problem in delivering whole blood is you don't carry a unit of blood on every truck because it's expensive and it goes bad. So you usually have a chief vehicle or a chase vehicle that takes it to the incident. But if you don't have EMG on dispatch, in our opinion, you lose a lot of opportunity for somebody with the training to understand when to make that happen. Instead of just not truly understanding the medical possibility or probability of that need. So you miss that opportunity. You also feel like we could knuckle down, if you will, better response times because of that delay between their dispatcher and our dispatch. And when I say a delay, there is a delay between the time they tone our guys out, so they get toned out immediately, but then our guys have to get off the radio and then get with our dispatcher, and it creates an internal problem as far as tracking times. But the best part of that is having emergency medical dispatchers that are on the phone with the patient or the patient's family to help improve the outcome of that patient and get the right resources to the right place.
Yeah, and until we can convince somebody to cough up more money for the sheriff, we're not going to have an EMD dispatcher.
Our company has EMD dispatchers in the offices in San Antonio 24/7, and so when they hit the switch, and the switch is already installed, so when they hit that switch, it automatically goes over to our dispatchers, and they're on the line with the patient at that point. I've talked to the judge about it. It's been a while since I've talked to the sheriff. We've had conversations with the commissioner's court. We've had conversations with dispatch, and we're really pushing hard to make that happen, both in Medina County and Frio County, because it's our belief that they do a great job. Don't get me wrong, but I think all of us that are in the EMS business know that EMD is a better process to get the right resources to the right place because they think like medics.
You said that they're on the phone with them.
And we don't charge for that.
You said you're on the phone with the patient. They're on the phone with the patient at that point.
Yep.
The dispatchers, they would be on that phone, pick up right away. The switch going over. Those are all paramedics or EMS.
They're emergency medical dispatchers. Yes.
Okay.
It's a different training program.
I know. What I was trying to get to is the aspirin calls you were talking about. Is that
And so the other thing is when you have them on the phone, our guys, and I'm not trying to brag about our guys. I'm just trying to show the logistics of this. That call comes in, so you have somebody that can walk the patient through. They understand what the true needs are, and they have a board in front of them that shows every ambulance in the region and where blood's at and where different things are at. So they don't have to second guess or call this or call that. They immediately know what's closest, what they can do, and get those resources into play, even before the medics in the field ask for it. Because we would rather have our dispatch be incorrect and send too much than show up and not have enough.
Anticipation.
Sir?
Anticipation.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I understand.
So we're working on that.
I got one other question.
Yes, sir.
Do you know anything about the unit that went to Brady? Because I've been gone for a month. So
I talked to the folks. They finished it. They sent us an invoice. I've sent the invoice up line to get paid, and I haven't heard back from anybody.
So it's still in Brady?
It's still in Brady.
Okay. All right. And what, are they just waiting for payment to release it? Is that what the deal is?
I believe so.
Okay. I don't have any contact. Is Dakota still working for you?
I'm sorry?
Dakota still working for you?
Yes.
Okay. So he was the contact that talked to...
And I called them myself.
Okay.
And talked to them. And when the last time I talked to them, they were waiting on the people for the decals to finish. But that time period was like a couple of days. He said they should have been done by Friday. And then I said, I need an invoice. and get that invoice to me, and I'll send it up line. That was 2 weeks ago, I think. Might have been a week ago.
Okay.
Friday.
Can you touch base with Dakota and find out if you have the contact? I don't have any contacts with these people.
I'll send you the information.
Sure, that'd be great.
Absolutely.
I'll make a call.
Absolutely.
Is there some action we need to take on it? Or?
No, they're handling it. It was handled under their insurance or their policy. So it went up under Allegiance, and I'm just trying to figure out. They said it would only take a week or two, and it's been.
Well, they ended up putting it on hold because they couldn't, and I shouldn't say they couldn't. When things didn't seem to be moving, and that's when I got involved and said, okay, who are the contacts? Let me call them because I need to know. I appreciate the fact that Dakota knew that, but prior to that, Jason was handling that, and so we all unfortunately know what happened there. So I got involved, and when I called the guy, they were just simply waiting on the decals to get finished.
Okay.
And then I said, well, when you get the decals finished, give me a date, and then get me a final invoice so I can get that to my folks and get it paid. And that was, like I said, last week.
Okay. Yeah, so I'll call them and touch base with them and see if they'll just release it. Usually they'll release it with the bill for the agency to get paid. So we can try to get that thing back here in service. Is the MDT still in that unit, or did it end up in the reserve here? Do you know? The iPad that we had dispatch set up on for being able to punch button on scene and all that other stuff? I call it MDT. I'm probably way.
It's that mobile iPad for dispatch.
It is?
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
it's here. Okay.
We still have it, right? Okay. Because I'm getting confused. We have a couple of pieces of equipment that are.
Yeah, we got those tablets so that your guys can.
Yes. Yeah.
All right.
And we still have it, right? Yeah.
Are you using it in this other bus? Okay, got it.
Yeah. We love them. They're great. Thank you very much.
Now, if we can just get AT&T fiber to stop billing us, we'll be good. Anyway, go ahead. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. You're very welcome. Thank you all.
Have that talk. Thank you. Oh, sorry. Do you need anything more from you guys? Okay. Thank you, Pat.
Thank you all.
Okay, we're going to move on to agenda item number 6, consent items. So we're going to look at the June 2025 minutes. Everybody got it in front of you there? Do you have them?
Yes, the only thing that I had on here was the unit that's up in Brady. Everything else looks like it's correct.
Yeah.
I make a motion that we accept it with the corrections.
I have a motion to accept.
Tony made a motion to accept.
Second.
Jerry made the motion to second. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
So carried. All right, next up would be, I'm on the wrong page, get on the right page, Steve. Next up, we're looking at financial reports.
Okay, so you have the financial reports in front of you. It looks like currently we have, let me catch up with this month. Our balance in the bank is $1,260,113.60. I still have not moved any of the money to the Texas class investment fund because I've been gone. So
some excuse.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to try to pick that up here this coming week or this week. Let's say Wednesday. So I'll try to get that done in the next couple of days. We have some, I've noticed in here.
Hold on, go ahead. Do we need to put a review on the agenda for next week or next month?
For what?
On that one, just to do a back check on it? Or you want to just handle it on your own and we'll talk about it then?
The Texas class investment?
Right.
We've already approved money.
Yeah, we did that. No, we already did that.
Yeah, Christy's got that in a minute, so what we approved to move. And that's what
I totally understand that. What I'm saying is the execution part of it. Do you need that on the agenda for next month? Or
no, because we've already approved the policy to make the investment, and we approved the investment to be made.
Okay, thank you.
Hang on a second. Christy's says to me, she said the total revenue The total revenue for the month of July was $13,706. No, the total revenue tax income from the income is $16,833.95. That's in July.
And expenses were
The expenses,
$966.15.
$3,127.72. And the one from June, because I forget that we were covering 2 months' work. Total income in June was $28,360.96. Total expenses, $24,736.66. So, with that said, if you look at budget versus actual for the years right now, we budgeted $552,870. Currently, we've spent $474,161. We're $78,708 to the good right now.
We have not spent.
Right.
Okay. Where's the big delta on that one? Where's the big change? Where are we missing on our plan, on our spend plan?
Well, 30,000 of that is the salary for Jason.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And then
that's another 40,000.
And then the rest of it is the payments that we're going to need to make for the ambulances and the EKG. That's coming.
Those were budgeted, but they haven't been spent yet.
Right, because we haven't made the quarterly payment.
The timing. Okay, I understand. Okay, so when we come up on our next budget review or budget plan, then those ones in particular, we should look at. Those should be put in on quarterlies then instead of on monthlies. If we're missing that, like if we're off our spend plan and it's because we're holding, waiting for that boom, then we should advance those over just to make sure we can stay on plan, and then we're doing what we said we were supposed to do.
Well, so she's gone from October, the beginning of the fiscal year, to today.
Yeah.
So that's why we're looking at the numbers the way that we're looking at. What we did when we did the proposed budget is we went through these numbers, we split them up, and we made them to make more sense for us as a board to where the dollars were actually going. And so that's where we're at with the proposed budget.
It's just more detailed, so it's more transparency. That's all.
Right.
That's what we're looking for. Okay.
And y'all are welcome in the crowd to have copies of all of this information. It's your money, not ours.
Okay, gentlemen, any questions on the financial reports? Any changes? Nothing at all?
I make a motion to accept it.
There we go. Tony made a motion.
I second the motion.
Second.
Patrick made the second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried.
Votes 3-0.
Okay, next on the agenda is presentation of...
hang on.
Okay, go ahead.
While we're under finances, we need to handle this deal with Juan. We under the financial section.
Okay.
Get him off the signature sheet.
Yeah. So for everybody's understanding, somehow Juan is still on the. We missed something in the previous minutes that we have with Juan is off of the to go off the signature cards. So we just need to have him removed from the signature cards. And do we need to have it as a vote agenda item on it, or
we need to have it as a vote so she can annotate it in the minutes so I can take it to the
I'll take it.
It's all about the government verifying, and they're like, we know this guy's not on your deal, you've got to get him off. And they said they're on a 2-week time frame now before they hold our
I'll take a motion to have Juan removed from the signature cards at the banks.
I make a motion that we remove the assistant treasurer.
We got a second?
Yeah, second.
Second from Mr. Beck. Okay.
Tony made the motion to remove Juan from our signature card, and seconded by Jerry.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so carried. Are we done?
Yes.
Okay. We're going to move on to agenda item number 7, presentation from Community EMS. Mike? This is in an effort to, again, we're always looking at the right things that we're doing, providing the services, best services for the community, for the district. And so we asked Mike to provide a proposal for coming in and providing same services. Go ahead, sir.
So first off, a couple of things I want to get off the top. I appreciate the way y'all work on your board. I've been to several board meetings, some very recently, where they discuss everything behind closed doors, kind of, or prior to meetings, come and vote on things that nobody gets to hear or talk about. So, good job. Let's start by saying I'm here because I heard that y'all were entertaining options, looking at possible options, I should say. For my nickel, Allegiance has done a fantastic job, especially considering what they charge them. And then I have to go on record as saying there's a tendency in government, happened recently in Fort Worth, where there is an excellent service being provided at a bargain, but it's not quite what the government body wants, and so rather than give more money to the excellent service, they choose a different option that costs a bunch more. And in this case, so I'm not always, that doesn't always seem to be the wisest plan. For instance, if I were to come up here and tell you, yeah, we could give you 10 ambulances for $5 million a year, well, probably so could Allegiance. So, that being said, okay, I'll introduce myself to y'all. My name is Michael Haney. I'm the EMS Director of Community EMS in Hondo. I've been the director there for 14 years. Been running up and down the streets in rural South Texas on an ambulance for 29 years. I didn't apply for that job. I was working as a paramedic here in Devine, really, 14 years ago, and some interesting things happened with the previous board, not this previous board, some other boards, and me and my friends that were paramedics on the ambulances were fixing to be without a job, so I said, well, I guess I'll try to run things. So far, so good. We run 4 ambulances on Hondo. We're a not-for-profit 501c3. Our focus is on the people we serve, the people we treat, the people that work for us. That is the focus. Obviously, I think I could do a better job than everybody else, or else I wouldn't be doing this job. Not just because we think we're second best. In the absence of an RFP and exactly what the commissioners and the board want specifically, all I can really offer is what I think I would do if it was up to me. And so the offer I've handed you is relatively brief, relatively cut and dry. As you may or may not know, in Hondo, we commit trucks to 911, and we also do inter-facility transfers out of Hondo. We also do inter-facility transfers from anywhere else that calls if we have a truck and they can wait for us. And we're the best option. If they got better options, obviously they don't call us. Leads to about 3,000, 3,200 calls a year, somewhere in that neighborhood that we do. Model's worked well for us. What it allows us to do is, normally in Hondo, if we were only doing 911 calls, we'd have 1.5, maybe 2 trucks. And since we do other stuff, and Hondo is home, we have 4 trucks. So, yeah, kind of a similar thing as he was talking about call volume burst calls. Sometimes 4 trucks is still not enough. We turned down 2 calls last year, but still, timing. But sometimes everything works out right, and the more trucks you have, doing other stuff that works out. So my theory is a similar situation here. We do a decent amount of interfacility transfers out of Jordanton, Frio, stuff like that. So using this as a base of operations to do those calls occasionally puts an extra truck here that you're not paying for, theoretically. The devil's in the details. This is my job. I do it for a living. I've tossed these numbers and concepts and theories around for my entire life, so I can do questions or whatever. But my theory is 2 trucks that you have now, instead of backfilling from Hondo, San Antonio, or whatever, we'd have a truck here to do backfilling. Then, of course, we'd backfill, of course, necessary too. My budget, as tight as it can possibly get, is about $500,000 a year to do that. And again, devil's in the details, right? Depends on the contract. If the contract all of a sudden says something crazy that I didn't anticipate, that's a matter of negotiation. And then, like I said, I'm here to help. I'm not here to try to expand the company. I'm not here to try to take over things. I'm here to offer another option for a solution if y'all got a problem that needs to be solved. That's really all I have as far as presentation. I'll take questions from anywhere. But
What's your guys' cost reimbursement rate? Your percentage?
Excuse me?
What's your percentage of cost reimbursement?
So we return. We'll just leave it. We make 43% on average of every dollar billed. It varies slightly based off of where that dollar is billed to. Stuff like that. Different areas of our district have better payer bases, higher insured population. Certain types of calls pay more, et cetera, et cetera. On a grand scheme, 911 calls in our core district we make about 36% of every dollar billed. In a facility transfer out of Kerrville, for example, it's almost 50. And that's flex. So, dollar bill. The reason I break it down that way is because medical billing is horrific. For instance, our base rate bill for a ALS call transporting to San Antonio is about $2,500. $2,100. $1,500 base rate for ALS, IV, monitor, all that stuff, and then $2,500. Send that $2,200 bill to Medicare, and they're like, "Great, thanks for your $2,200 bill. It's actually only a $1,000 bill. Here's $500. Get the other $250 from the patient." I don't know how good you are at math. It doesn't add up, but that's what they do. Medicaid says here's $400. And have a nice day. So dollar bill is a somewhat interesting situation. I track it pretty reasonably. We make something. We get a percentage of the bill on approximately 96% of our calls. Transports, 96% of transports. I don't bill refusals, typically.
And who does your billing service?
Stat Billing. It's a little mom and pop billing company in Castro.
Okay.
I give up a little bit with scale, professionalism, perhaps, whatever. But I gain a lot, and I can drive over there and talk to them. And then I'm a big proponent of small town stuff. I run a 501c3 based in Hondo, so I'm a big proponent of supporting small town operations.
Questions?
A couple of questions. So I realize that we didn't put anything out, so you're just spitballing here. Your $500,000, is that $500,000 and we collect, or $500,000 and you collect?
So that I have the budget here, but I didn't bring my glasses, and it is really small.
Do you need?
I can provide a copy to you.
They're 1.5.
I didn't want, but the $500,000. So it's a similar rate, an identical rate for what we do in Hondo. ESD4 pays us actually $500,000, and we do everything. We bill everything. We pay for everything. They buy trucks. They buy trucks, and we lease them for $0. So the absence of ambulances, we buy all the medical equipment. We do all the billing. We do all the collecting. We do all the maintenance. We do all the repairs. We do all the insurance. We do all the utility payments. The only thing the ESD3 pays is the check to us.
Okay, so I'm just going to be straightforward with you. $500,000 is more than double what we're paying.
I understand, which is why I led with what I led with. Were I in your shoes, there would be no way I would consider changing from allegiance, to be honest.
So, and the other thing your selling point is that we could have a third ambulance here, but you're telling us that third ambulance is going to be doing transfers. So it's going to be available only when it's not being used for transfers, is what you're saying. I just want to clarify.
It's a little binary, but sure.
No, you and I have known each other for years, Mike, and I know that you're in the transfer business, and there's a reason that you're in that. It's to support the other portions of your organization. So my deal is you have that as a selling point. There could be a third sitting down for another call, but not during transfer hours. You transfer hours are what, from 8 to 5, or you do that mostly during the day?
2 to 10, roughly. Plus or minus shift change. So the reason why I say it's slightly more fluid than that. For instance, as a thought experiment, let's say it was 5 trucks, right? And we normally need 4 here, right? Well, then all of a sudden, the calls don't matter as much because that 5th truck, yeah, it might be doing something, but probably, very, very likely, a high percentage of the time, it will be done doing that and heading back by the time the others go out on their simultaneous or how do you say, 4 to 10 quadritaneous 911 calls that your district loves to do. And then it's not particularly a selling point. It's my idea of how I think would be the most effective way to cover it.
Okay.
So first off, it's just a truck. So the way we do in Hondo. So in Hondo, we try to make sure we have a truck in district, a truck at least on the way back to district from San Antonio typically, before we will take a transfer. So those 2 calls drop within 8 minutes. That truck's not going to take a transfer, period, because it's here. So yes, there are definitely times. Let's say it does 2 transfers a day, 4 transfers a day. Keep it busy. 2 out of Jordan, 2 out of Frio, 3 hours each. So 12 hours. So half of the time the truck will be busy. The other half of the time it's here standing by for free.
So, on the other side of that coin, what happens when you've got 4 transfers lined up and you only got 1 transfer ambulance?
Well, we have trucks in Hondo, and that would probably have 2 transfers, and the other 2 wait or call somebody else.
Okay, so you wouldn't take a 911 truck out of service?
Transfer. So specifically the truck, like in Hondo, I don't designate trucks. They're just trucks. They do transfers, they do 911s, whatever. Intercity transfers are good for clinicians. They learn a lot because they don't learn on 911 calls. So I don't designate people in Hondo or trucks. They just do the work that's in front of them. But yes, so like if there was 1 truck in this district, probably, if we had a truck in Natalia, truck in Devine, and the Natalia truck went on a 911 call, no, I wouldn't do a transfer with another truck that's in to Natalia. Again, probably, like you said, I'm kind of just spitballing here.
Right.
I've worked down here for years and years and years, but I don't even remember the last time that a single 911 call dropped in this district instead of 2 at a time.
On here it also says you intend to purchase ambulances for the district. So first of all we have 2 that were purchased by the ESD last year, and so we would look to using those potentially as with you guys using those. But the other question I have is, are you intending to purchase new, used, or how do you look at that for your ambulance?
So we're pretty picky on our trucks.
What's that?
We're pretty picky on our trucks.
Okay.
I buy base model pretty much 12-foot Fraser ambulances. That's what the guys like running out of. They're super easy to maintain and repair comparatively to some other things. Is it the best ambulance? I don't know. I just like it. And so yes, would buy new of those. The budget is to buy a new ambulance every 4 to 5 years, probably.
And do you have ambulances on order right now?
I have one that was supposed to be delivered mid-April that I'm going to go pick up next week. To your issue about the repairs. And then another one that's being manufactured should be ready late this year. Those are for our other operation, but I mean, you move them around. Then, of course, I know y'all have the ambulances. I don't know what your arrangement there is. If we could use those, certainly makes it easier because I staff 4 ambulances pretty much all day in Hondo, and we have, when the 2 new ones show up, we will have 7. One of them is very old and probably should be at football games and nothing else pretty soon. Which leaves me 6, which is kind of short, right? And I can't just go order an ambulance. I mean, I can order an ambulance, I just can't go buy one. So, using your ambulances, and then of course I have budgeted a certain amount for buying ambulances, so if we were going to use that, I can offset the contracts depending on how that works out.
Okay. Any more questions,
On those, didn't we sell those 2 ambulances we had back to the Legions?
No. They're leased.
They're paying the lease.
They're leased on, yeah.
It's still tied to us, but they're paying the lease.
Okay.
So that's supposed to be what's happening.
Past release, yeah.
Yeah. So.
Only one question I had.
Good. Questions? No. Good.
Cool. I apologize for the sloppiness, but I forgot to put my contact information on that thing, so I wrote my phone number and blue pin on the front. If you take your questions later. All that being said, even no matter what in the future, here in Hondo, please stand by to help. I am not opposed to any arrangement that helps. So, whatever.
Well, Mike, we appreciate you coming out and furthering the discussion that we had before, and just giving us some food for thought on how best we can serve the district.
Sure. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Thanks.
Thanks, Mike.
Okay. Go ahead.
Before you move forward, let's the budget committee, ESD budget committee, we need to do a budget committee because we're on a timeline.
I was gonna hit that.
Let's go back to that, if you would please, and let's set up a budget committee meeting.
Okay.
You want to do that?
No, we'll go right up there. We'll back up. So we're going to go back to agenda item 6C, and that is to set a budget meeting, a final budget meeting for approval of our next year's budget. And
So
I do post haste, right?
Yeah, I should be getting the numbers from Kelly or Melissa hopefully tomorrow.
Okay.
So that when we're at the budget meeting, we can see what the numbers look like.
Okay.
And we're going to have to check it next month.
What's that?
Yeah, we got to move.
Yeah, we're
Me being gone hurt us. Yeah.
Well, I'll take a proposal for a date from you guys.
Next Wednesday? Next Wednesday?
You guys, you gentlemen available next Wednesday on the 20th?
I'll make myself.
Yeah.
Do it in the evening? You want to do it at 6 or 7 o'clock?
I'm open completely.
It's hard for me to get here for
7 o'clock?
for 6. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm coming.
Next week we're going to have a budget meeting. You are welcome to attend, please. It's open to the public. Come see what we're talking about.
We'll have the agenda out on in the next tomorrow.
Friday.
By Friday, our agenda will be out. So my good friend Christy on the line there will always help me out.
Okay, so I would like to make a motion that we have a budget committee meeting next Wednesday at 7 p.m.
I don't think you need a motion, but I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? All right, so carried.
Jerry seconded it and it passed. All in favor?
Good. Okay. Let's move on then to agenda item number 8. Review, discuss, and approve or disapprove ESD4 board president and treasurer to begin potential contract negotiations with ESD1 for presentation to full board. Not for anything more than just presentation.
I'm willing
Do you want that?
Yeah.
So with that, I'll take a motion on it.
I make a motion that we move forward with discussions with Medina County SD1, negotiations of a possible contract.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Oh, I'm sorry, we didn't get a second on that. So second?
Tony seconded.
Okay, there we go. All in favor? Any opposed? All right, so carried.
I made the motion and Tony seconded the motion. It passed 3-0.
Okay, move on to item number 9. I think we can actually discuss this next month or next week.
Yes.
This is review, discuss, and approve funding for additional dedicated, review, set special meeting, review ad valorem revenue changes based on calculation of senior and disabled exemptions, and approve any changes to current rate. We will address that at the next meeting, or the next budget meeting next week. Okay. I'm not even doing an agenda item on that.
Yeah, postpone that.
Approve it
Next week.
Okay, and agenda item number 10, review, discuss, and approve funding for additional dedicated EMS staff during community annual festivals within the district, Divine Fall Festival and Italian Spring Festival. This was, I put this on the agenda, and my thought behind it was to ensure, so we can start ensuring we have a presence at a physical presence of staff at these community events. Maybe setting up a pop-up or something at these things so that folks can have easy response right away, and then we can follow on with our ambulance service. It also gives great face time for our team within the community, so they can be our team, so whenever they work. So,
Pat, how would that work? Are we going to pay them overtime, or how does it work for y'all?
Typically what we've done in the past is participate whenever any board asks us to do. We typically take whoever was on duty at that time and participate in the event. If 911 call comes up, we'll take it. If you want us to have a unit dedicated to that,
not necessarily a unit, but actually a team there that can be at those
we can
events.
do that as well. That's not a problem. If it comes from you guys, we'll make it happen.
Well, so it's going to be a cost to y'all.
Absolutely.
So that's what I'm asking. Steve would like to do this on a regular basis, and it's going to cost your agency to do this.
Sure.
So do we need to
we give you a number on that, for a day or 8-hour day or whatever that is.
I think it's actually more like we're looking at long days. I know specifically for the fall festival, it's an all day event.
Okay.
And so it would essentially be, gosh, what time do we start those? It starts early in the morning and goes all the way until after midnight. So
you talking about a crew and a truck, or just a crew?
Well, I don't know. That's a good discussion. What do you guys think? But is this something you want to pursue that we should?
Oh, no, I think it's an excellent idea.
Okay.
I think a crew. To me, if you put a truck out there, and they need to make calls. It's crazy busy.
Well,
they wouldn't be driving out of there for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
A dedicated truck to an event like that, obviously our company would charge them for that. But it would come with a crew and a truck, or we can just set up a crew. However you want to do it.
Do y'all have like BLS units that you send or something like that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Just a crew. It comes at a much lower cost.
And we're talking, I'm conceptualizing here, but I'm thinking that, again, we have a pop-up that's in there, a little area, and everybody knows that's where you go for emergency services. Get heat stroke or whatever it is, or
and then
you're drunk.
If we have an event and you guys want to make that happen, you do that information.
Okay.
Calendar, what days and whatnot, and I'll get that proposal to you.
So I would anticipate for Devine would be 2 shifts of additional work. Natalia, what do you think? Do you need 2 shifts? Or how long for your?
They start in the morning, playing about 10 to 5, and about midnight.
So 2 shifts on that one too. Yeah.
Does that go through the weekend, Blue Bonnet?
No, this is one day.
Yeah. One day. Okay.
Starting morning until.
Yeah, it's not 30.
Praise unit usually start at like 10, right? Yellow trade starts at about 10, yeah. That's what it is at night.
Yeah, so that's why I say I anticipate we would do 2 8-hour shifts. Maybe, they can get there a little bit later or whatever, but in the evening is for the, I know there, you guys don't get as crazy as we do over here, but over here, it's about 8, 9 times. So, y'all are taking the street, so.
Okay, I'll get that to you.
Okay, so yeah, that way we can look at cost and stuff like that.
What's that? Yeah.
So he can give us a proposal of what it would cost us to have.
That's kind of what I was looking for. So if you guys could put that together, like I said, well, then let's actually do a motion on that one. We move forward with that. You guys do a proposal on it.
Okay.
So we need a motion for it.
I'll make a motion that we accept the proposal for it.
Well, he needs to bring us a proposal so we can.
And then that he's going to move forward with putting together a proposal.
Okay.
For the September 10th meeting?
September 10th meeting, yeah. So can I get a second on that?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Good.
So the motion is for Pat to get a proposal for cost for having a unit or crew at these events.
Two shifts of crew at the Natalia Blue Bonnet Festival in the spring and the Devine Fall Festival, Cactus Festival in the fall.
Okay.
Motion made by Tony, seconded by me, pass 3-0.
Would you need that by next Wednesday?
No. September meeting. And that way we can just get it into the budget and we can keep rocking from there.
Also, Pat, I know this is not on the agenda. We've had 2 proposals. We're asking that y'all submit a proposal so that we can look at everything for the next year's contract.
Yes.
That we just want to look at everything across.
I talked to Steve earlier this afternoon, this evening, and had that discussion. So I'm going to get my VP in touch with Steve so they can figure out what she needs to propose.
Yeah, well, I really want to do a sit-down meeting with them so we can have some time and just make sure. And I'll bring bring one of the team here with me.
Yes, sir.
And we can have those talks.
I'll make that phone call to her tomorrow.
Yeah, great. Thanks.
Or tonight.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen. And with that, we are we do not need to go into closed session for anything. I don't believe anything.
No.
Okay. Then the agenda item number 12 regular meeting. Next meeting is September 10th. But we have our budget meeting on the 20th and next week, and you're all very welcome to be there. We appreciate it. With that said, I'm going to do some around the room comments. Anybody have anything?
Yes, sir. Are we going to put the Natalia building
on the next agenda? Yes.
Okay.
We'll put it on the next agenda.
And I know it's been kind of hectic with Pat and Christy gone, and
that's been everything.
Yeah. So, no excuses, just happen.
Okay. Anything from the public? Thank you all for being here. Thank you for enduring everything that's gone on tonight. There's always emotions coming on with things like we had tonight, and I appreciate everybody being here and the support for both us and our team that we've lost. So with that, I'll take a motion for adjournment.
I'll make a motion. Should we adjourn?
Don't need a second.
There we go. Let's get all in favor. There we go. Thank you, everybody.
So we're still fighting in over this. We're spending 12